And we are live. Hello. Welcome, Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. There I go. I stumbled exactly like I thought I was going to right now. I'm struggling through life right now as we speak, and it will be that way for the whole show. I'm Jared Watson, along with Andy Billman, and this podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. We're going to discuss Baker Mayfield taking a knee during the national anthem. That's a thing he says he's going to do. And there's a few others who have made those comments lately, too. Rumors about a mega deal with Myles Garrett. Come on, let's hurry up and get that done. Dr. Fauci says football needs to be in a bubble. This is similar to what the NBA and Major League Soccer is doing. Meanwhile, if you love, good real-life drama with roller coaster emotions and all that great stuff, because Lord knows there's just not enough of it in this world. Get on board with Major League Baseball negotiations. That shit's been fun. What a wild experience. These two sides trying to get to an agreement. Is it going to happen? I just want to smack everyone. Kevin Love is being honored with the Arthur Ashe Award. Well-deserved.
Yes. I'm
super stoked about that. And Bama and the Buckeyes will be playing soon in 2027 and 2028. Can we just get out of 2020 first? Jesus.
Tickets are available now on StubHub.
But first, your Cleveland Browns.
Let's all give Jared Watson a mental hug out there. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. I just want to say, too, we got a very, very cool fan mail from a girl from Minnesota, and I just want to point her out. We read your email. We're going to respond. We've been getting more and more feedback from people recently. We just want to say thank you to everyone out there. The feedback in the last 2 or 3 months has been overwhelmingly positive, and we thank you so much. And this heartfelt letter we got from this woman in Minnesota, we heard it, we were reading it, and we love it. Keep that stuff going. It means a lot. It means a lot. This is just a little podcast in the blip of the world, but to get something like that, it was just very, very sweet and to the heart. We always lead off with the Browns, but I'm going to do an overall picture for it first because this is the first time, and I was kind of relaying this to Jared last weekend. I've really felt it this week. No NBA Finals, no MLB, which would be going on normally right now. But I have to say, this is the first week I felt like the sports world has been ramping up. You can feel it with the PGA. I know with going at the Colonial, the NASCAR's been up and running. But with the NBA coming out, the rules, MLS getting closer, MLB talks, we'll get to that in a second. But this is the first week where I have felt the need. I need to check ESPN every hour. I need to make sure I'm on Twitter reading through things every hour. You can tell we're going to get to the Mike Gundy stuff at the very end of the show. What's going on with these? Oh boy, what a mess in Stillwater. This has been the first week though, Jared, where to me, before we get off to the Browns, this is really ramped up. The sports world is really, it's not normal by any means, but this is kicked in. It's felt a lot more normal this week. It's not normal when it comes to everything else. There's so much other things more important in the world right now. But I will say, especially nationwide in the States, you could tell it's kicked in. The sports world's getting back.
There's movement. There's movement. There's a lot of movements in the right direction for the most part. There have been hiccups.
There have been many hiccups.
There have been hiccups as this is going on. I know we're going to get to it later, but I love the ingenuity, the thinking outside the box relating to things like the NBA. I'm going to order that ring. I think it's a ring. It's called Aura or something of that nature. I can't remember the name of it. I got to look it back up. Right. But they're going to not make them. They're all agreeing to wear these rings that can, by tracking, their symptomology or their temperature and their oxygen absorption rates, that they can possibly detect symptoms of COVID 3 days prior to them testing positive or to something of that nature. And just that is the stuff that is going to be crucial if they're going to be able to make this happen, because we already know that there are college teams down in the South already with 12, 13 players that have tested positive for COVID.
Cowboys, Texans,
the Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott screaming about HIPAA, which, by the way, that's a whole other discussion. I would argue against Zeke on that one. I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Not enough time today, but yes. But to what you're
saying, we're actually getting legitimate traction, and we're seeing things happen. NASCAR, as you brought up, PGA can make it happen. I've even gone golfing. I've gone golfing twice in the past 2 weeks, and I'm paranoid as all hell regarding COVID. But because I understand, again, it comes back to this, Andy, the science. I wear a mask when I'm around people. I'm outside. I keep my distance. It's not that hard. And you know what? I don't feel like my freedoms are being infringed upon either. Again, another discussion, but let's be real about this. If we're going to make it happen, that's how it's going to have to happen.
That is right. And I think the big thing is, it doesn't mean that COVID-19 is going to go away with any of these sports coming back. It doesn't mean there's going to be more hiccups along the way, which we're going to get to here first. But to what Jared's saying, the sports world, and I know there's been some people who are not thrilled about it. Sports reporters I've been watching and reading online a lot. It's like I said, I've been keeping my eye more on the sports world this week, almost back to normal. And I've seen a lot of journalists come up speaking that they're not sure they want this. But all that said, it is full steam ahead, and you can tell. And it's going to be hard to put this train back. All that to be said, let's kick off with what Fauci said today on Thursday. This is the 18th. Fauci came out with a pretty big bombshell. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten more pickup because this is the first time now the NFL has been wrapped up into this whole world of what is going on with COVID-19. Now, Fauci said today on CNN, quote, unless players are essentially in a bubble, insulated from the community, and they are tested nearly every day, it would be very hard to see how football is able to be played in the fall, end quote. Yeah. Quote, if there's a second wave, which is certainly a possibility, and which could be complicated by a predictable flu season, football may not happen this year, end quote. And what I took out of this was Fauci said something I think he did this to get attention. He did this because it is true, but also he's trying to say, so far from it, and I'm just guessing, but I think what Fauci's alluding to is what is really going on with the NFL and how they're going to protect from COVID-19. So immediately, Dr. Alan Sills came out with his statement, and you can tell that they're now ramping up. And I think what this has done, and what I'm hoping this has done, the NFL does need to start really talking about how this is going to be played out. You are really only 2 to 3 months away from starting the preseason. You get it kicked off in Canton. And there's been a lot of discussion about that this week. How's that going to be played? What's there going to be like this year for the NFL Hall of Fame? So there's a lot of things. The NFL, I'm not going to say they're behind yet, but they have been slow to reveal, well, it's not going away, so how are you going to deal with this?
Well, that's because you're talking about an organization, and let's, again, be real here. After serving in the military for 12 years, I know all about working for a reactionary organization. The NFL acts in the same way, where they're not used to trying to be proactive in a sense of being preventative in this sort of situation. So, and maybe there are things going on behind the scenes, but you're talking about, too, let's be real, the NFL has a lot more than just COVID to worry about this season. They are on the heels of the Black Lives Matter movement and flipping their entire take out of nowhere, right? I mean, this is the NFL and the Shield and the owners have been adamant about their ideas behind all this. It was either ignore them or tell them they can't do it, there was no support for any of this. So there's more than one thing going on. It's not just COVID. It's also that. So this is a big season for the NFL and making sure that they've got their ducks in a row. Now, speaking to that too, and the ideas, again, in the ingenuity, I've seen ideas, Andy, and I don't know how much of this, because I've been a little bogged down lately. So when I'm seeing certain things in headlines, I'm really skimming, I'm breezing through, and then I've got to move on to back to the other work that I've got in front of my face. So anyway, they're wearing these helmets. They have this idea of these helmets to cover the entire face. Now, I don't know whether and they look really cool. I'm wondering how they can filter air and breathing in a way where it's not going in the other player's face. Because again, at the end of the day, science says the masks are making a difference, and that is huge. So they might have to redevelop and come out with a new helmet that covers the entire mouth and face. And you're talking about huffing and puffing and being out of breath and being able to see and play. They're going to have to find a way to make that work. I think that they have to do that on top of the idea of being in a bubble, because, Andy, look, let's be real about this. You have how many players in the NFL? You have how many people on the staff? You have how many coaches? How the fuck are you going to keep everyone in the bubble?
Well,
are they going to sign contracts saying that they will? No one's. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Well,
it's not feasible. I don't think in that sense.
You bring
to
up
not expect someone to not.
You bring up one interesting thing that I don't know how much we can go down.
Only one.
Well, there's one. There's many, but there's one layer that I've been thinking about a lot. Well, how in the hell they're going to do the sidelines? To what you're alluding to, the sidelines are filled with cameramen.
Yes,
filled with reporters. With
the cameras, I'm not worried about. The cameras, they can do the robotics. They can change the shots.
But Jared, there's going to be people who need tech. I will say this though, you're going to need people who can technically be around for electronics. You're going to need people.
It's going to be the same way that they're doing it at restaurants, or in certain restaurants, or at the grocery stores. They're going to have the plexiglass. They're going to have to do things like that, right?
They're going to have to. Well, the big thing here with this statement that I think it is now time, because we've heard the rollout. We're going to get more in the NBA tomorrow. We're going to touch upon it a little bit today. We're going to do a special show tomorrow celebrating the Cavs' 4-year anniversary. For people who don't know, 6/19/16, for those who forget, is the magical day in all of our lives as Cleveland fans.
I'm going to cry again even thinking about it right now.
So we're going to live that tomorrow in a special show. We'll talk about that throughout the podcast. But the big thing is, with all the stuff that's been going on and everything that's in life, this is a big time for the NFL now to do what the NBA has done, what MLB is trying to do, MLS has done, and other things like, hey, how's this really going to work? The EJ on Facebook, have either of you seen Bubble Boy? Of course. The famous Seinfeld episode is one of my all-time favorites, Costanza. And I believe Susan was on that date. That was a magical moment.
Spit my drink out.
There's all sorts of fun ways to be on the sideline. A Bubble Boy would be one of them. All that to be said, I think this is an important topic. I hope this, the NFL's had so much time planning. Part of me is wondering if they're waiting to reveal this in July. If they have a plan ready to go, whatever, fine. I will say, Jared, from the outside, it feels foggy. There seems to be a mystery to how this is going to work. And I think today Fauci dropped the hammer on purpose to say, hey, how's this really going to work?
Well, it's not like the other leagues that are trying to ramp up sooner have the roadmap, right? I mean, they're also getting close, but they're not exactly there either.
Well, they're not. But the NBA
and they're very different.
Well, they're two different. Look, let's just keep it right here for right now. And here's the one thing that's positive about the NFL, because these are very large stadiums. You can easily have players in the stands. You can easily have your coaching staff in the stands. You could easily have plenty of spacing. You can do all that. But from what I've read from the NFL, they're trying not to do that. They're trying to have fans in the stands everywhere. So those are the seats you'd want to sell, you would think. So we'll have to wait and see. There's plenty of space in these stadiums. I mean, everybody's been to them. There's huge amounts of room. The question to me is not so much how they can do it. How can they do it if they really are going to have fans? And that's the question to me. Because every other sport has acknowledged no fans, no fans, no fans. College and the NFL has been buckle up. We're having fans.
Let's go ahead. Well, first of all, college can say buckle up. We're going to have fans all they fucking want. That ain't necessarily going to be the thing that happens. Maybe regionally, SEC. I'm looking at you since you seems like the South clearly doesn't really give a shit at this point. The NFL, the way that they're going to be able to do this, if they're going to have fans in the stands. Are you telling me that you're going to have everyone out there tailgating prior? Let's be real about this, Andy. The tailgating prior is probably, oh boy. I mean, I get it. I don't want to care about it either. I don't want to worry about it. I have taken some risks because I just needed to be. I mean, we are social creatures, Andy. We are social beings. It's what we are. We're There's I don't know how we do it smartly though.
Well, look, there is no. I'll be honest with you. I think even if you were to stay inside your house, that would bring on future problems too.
Yes.
So not to go too far down this rabbit hole.
Right. No, you just got to remember, Andy, that individuals can be smart, but groups of people can be really dumb.
Really dumb.
Really,
really dumb. So let's leave it there. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I thought that was a bombshell that Fauci did today. I thought Dr. Fauci did the right thing. And I'm interested to see how the NFL responds. Now, they had that statement from the doctor, but Dr. Alan Sills. But you would think you'd hear more than that.
Well, that not a lot of people are listening to Fauci now these days, from what I've noticed. But yeah, whatever. No big deal. Yeah, it just goes. It'll go away. But
oh boy, all that to be said. I'm with Jared. Wear your mask. According to Jeremy Fowler, the big news that came almost a week ago today, Friday of last week, Cleveland Browns and Myles Garrett have engaged in contract discussions per sources, setting the stage for a potential mega extension this summer. The former #1 pick has 2 years left on the rookie deal, and Cleveland could get ahead of a pricey pass rush market. That is Jeremy Fowler. Look, I've been surprised on this, and we've talked about this on the show. I am very, very. I've been hard at times on Myles Garrett's play. I've done some other things that probably gone too far over the edge. Whatever. All that to be said, he is paid his punishment. He is our best player defensively by far. He is a Pro Bowler. This makes all the sense to me in the world. I would not wait until the season starts. In fact, I think it makes sense for both sides here. I have been surprised, Jared. Many people have been against this move from either the Browns' perspective or Myles Garrett's perspective. Now, Garrett, I guess you can understand, because is he leaving money on the table? Fine, whatever. But the reverse is true here, too. If the Browns, why are you criticizing the Browns? We know Myles Garrett's really good. Get this thing done.
Yeah.
You got Baker in the background. You got Nick Chubb in the background. These are other contracts that are down the road. You need to take care of your best player.
I think Robin on Facebook agrees. She's screaming out, yes.
Yes.
That's what I said. Get it done. Yes. It's hard. Yes. It's so hard to say that one that way, but
Yes. That's
look, get it done. Get them signed. Keep them here. Look, Andy, it's far and few between when it comes to players that the Cleveland Browns have wanted to or been able to sign to long-term deals that were guys that we wanted to have around. So I am looking at it that way. Let's go ahead. Let's make this thing happen. Let's continue to build upon this solid. I mean, look, the core of this team is solid at this point, right? Now we have a couple of questions. We're expecting Baker to be a part of that solid core. We're expecting Odell to have a comeback season. We're expecting Landry, of course, to, even if his play drops off, be a force in the clubhouse, in the locker room, rather. So
you may have the best backfield in football with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
And the most overlooked backfield to this point, too, right?
Well, but they have not earned it. Now Nick has earned it.
Well, Nick has.
Nick has earned it. Well, but the backfield tandem has not earned that.
That's up to the coaching staff to help make that happen.
That it is up to people to stay on the field too. Yeah. All that to be said, it's exciting. A lot of things here. I think this Myles Garrett makes a lot of sense. I won't go too much further than that. I've been surprised about the pushback on this. I don't think it makes any sense. Myles Garrett signed. I actually think it makes sense for Myles Garrett. Get this done. Get things linked in. From what I've learned about COVID-19, you never know what could happen with money flow. Take the money right now. Take the money right now. Don't fuck around.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit too.
Yes. I would really, really be hesitant right now on not taking good money. Anyways, even in the NFL, I'd be very hesitant. Baker Mayfield will kneel this upcoming season, and he put out a big Instagram post about that. My thoughts and feelings, I think it's great. I think every player, every team throughout NFL will be kneeling this year. I actually think it's going to be across sports, baseball, basketball, hockey. I think you're going to see it everywhere this year. I don't even think it's going to be much of a debate. This is another one. I'm surprised about the pushback on this. I think it's going to be a given. In fact, I know people have been surprised I've said this. I think it's going to be across college football. I think you're going to see teams in college football. You're certainly going to see the Iowa Hawkeyes kneeling, I would guess.
Well, come on. Teams have already said, what team was it that they're demanding certain changes within universities or they're not going to play? Yeah, so I think good. I think for people who are like, why is, and for people who, who are questioning, it's like, I think you're missing the boat here. A, it's great to kneel. B, it's going across every sport, every team, everywhere. I would be surprised, Jared, this is not a big thing across sports. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be if there's two players. Arguments for things that I'm absolutely over that are conflated and unrelated and don't make sense is that kneeling disrespects the flag. It does not. It does not. That is not. Sorry, it does not. Your flag T-shirt is against flag code. You don't seem to care about that. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Like, let's be real about it. The kneeling is in support of people who are oppressed in a country that we love and care about. And it was an idea that was given to Colin by a former military member who gave him this way to peacefully protest in a respectful manner. So enough of this fucking disrespect the flag thing. You don't get to hijack the meaning and make it what you want it to be when it's clearly not what it is. The other one that goes right along with that is erasing history is not the same thing as removing statues of traitors of this country. And we'll leave that there too. Very politically minded show so far this afternoon.
It's
this
hard
evening.
not to be.
But this is just where we are, Andy. Sorry. I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to stop. This is something I care about. And for anyone else, all right, then move along. Move along. I don't care. Move along. You don't have, if you don't agree, that's fine. That's fine. But you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it.
You have a right to stop. You have a right to voice your opinion, but to what Jared's alluding to, and I won't go to, it's the same point again. Mayfield, I think, is doing the right thing, and I believe it's the right thing. Yeah. I would be doing it.
And Kyler Murray, his buddy from Oklahoma, is going to do the same thing.
Oh, buddy,
you know, and told a guy on IG, look, don't give a shit.
It's across the league, folks. Everyone's doing it. I would do it. Everybody would do it. This is a solidarity moment. It's pure and simple.
We're all together.
Period. Black lives matter. Period. In a sentence. Period.
And again, and you know, in the 60s when a lot of this stuff was going on, white America was not standing hand in hand with African Americans in this country. They were not. Mm-hmm. We are now. We are now.
No, you're seeing a big movement.
Period.
You're seeing a big movement. So
Baker, I'm really reeling it in tonight.
Baker later on Instagram, after he came out with his comments on Saturday, that would be, do quick math. What is that? The 15th, 16th, something like that. Well, anyways, quote, everybody's so upset about my comment, doesn't understand the reasoning behind the kneeling in the first place. Nate Boyer and Colin Kaepernick came to an agreement that kneeling was the most respectful way to support our military while standing up for equality, end quote. He's right. You can read on Instagram. Baker's not alone in this. We're all together on this, and I think we should just leave it there for now. Again, check it out. There's many other things like this out there. Start reading about it. I think it's really important. Yeah. Stefanski.
And nuance matters.
Yes. It's been a while, but Stefanski actually did a Zoom press conference on Wednesday, June 10th. I think, again, I won't go too far down this road because it's the same beat and drum. If you don't, I'm going to start saying this. If you don't like Stefanski the person, I think you're lost. Stefanski the person is a very likable, nice man. Mm-hmm. He's very bright. Mm-hmm. He's very well-spoken. He's funny. He's a good dude. I don't know what else to say anymore. Like, I have a hard time finding anything I don't like. I just really, really like the man a lot. And this is another press conference where I thought he hit it out of the park. One of his quotes was, so the players, to their credit, and to the coaches, we are working. All the while, like the rest of the world, we have been spending a lot of time talking about social justice. And certainly my big message to the team has been to get into the arena. Yeah. And we are all about action. The one thing that was very cool that he admitted later, which I thought was great, it didn't get any press. So it just shows you what kind of person Stefanski is. He did attend a protest in the Avon and went out there and marched. So Stefanski, for everybody who's out there, there was no PR. No one knew about this. He talked about that. He is I will not only say, I will do, and we will conquer. And
is he going to move? Never mind. There was that debate, East Side, West Side, Cleveland, and that turned into something racial. So I almost went down that path with a joke.
No, it's just that. We will. Another quote.
I've been there.
Yeah, another quote from Stefanski. Quote: "We want to be a strong part of this community, a strong part of positive change." Another quote from him, quote, "My big message to my team is I got their back." When you really listen to him talk and you really hear him say these things, it is not just hearsay. He speaks from the heart. It is not a robot. He is very, very passionate about what he says. It's on the Browns website. You can go to clevelandbrowns.com, check it out. I would suggest you're watching it. He's in Berea. He's doing things. But the big thing is he is not only there teaching, and he's obviously doing things without many players or any players in the building. He is leading already with the team in a building that's really empty because of COVID-19. But there's Stefanski. he's there and he's planting his flag, and you can feel his presence.
Andy, all right.
Good.
Let's play this game real quick. What are we on? 20 years, right? Close. 20 years.
1999. Is that the magical date?
21 years. 21 years, right? 21 years.
22.
We have
21. Right?
We have been confident. We have been excited. We have been fired up. We have thought on many occasions that we got it right this time. Are you? Because I am here, and we were quoted last season in a national article on The Ringer. That was great. Quotes that made you think like we were all in last year with the moves, with everything, the excitement. We thought there was no chance that that thing was going to implode or fail. Right?
Titans are going to blow us out.
Can we? Do you agree with me that this is the first real, not first in a long time, real legitimate fact-based, with when I'm using, learning and cognition to form these thoughts and not just my biases. Is this the first time that we can say, I think the Browns are actually on the right track with this?
Here's what I'm going to say.
Is that fair? It feels dangerous.
Here's where I'm at. This is the first Browns team. Let me make sure I'm not missing one. Again, this is post-move. This is when they're back in 99. Jared saying it's 21 years. I have no fucking clue. I thought it was 22. It's 21. For all that to be said, I really do think it's the first time I felt very positive about the team. That does not mean wins or losses. That does not mean that they're going to be breaking out in the playoffs. But Jared, this is the first team in a long time. This reminds me of Frank Kona's Indians. This reminds me of some Cavs teams, and especially in 16, where you just want to root for the Cavs in 16. You want to root for the Cavs in 15 too. You can get debatable after that because I think 17 was a very fun year. I think 18 was. It was the Browns last year, but I don't know how much lovable that team was. But 15, 16, 17 were. The Browns really have not been lovable. This team, for the first time, feels lovable and positive. And what a shock, the coach is giving off these vibes. And I think it really helps.
Wow.
He has.
From the top.
Now
From
look.
the top.
For the top. Now look, this does not mean wins or losses. What it means is that there's a presence on this team for the first time that I feel calming about. I loved the Browns last year. I was fucking duped. I fucking face planted. I lost all my teeth. And that only took until about halftime of the Titans game. All that to be said, throughout the whole preseason and throughout the whole summer, I did say there was a target on this team. They have a huge target on this team.
Right.
They are very cocky. They are very aggressive. They are very all this. Those days are long gone. And that says a lot because we'll relive it again when we do the season's review. But
I can't wait.
Where's my margarita?
I thought you forget.
I know. Well, you never forget. You got to relive the past to go forward.
I think you know what? I think last season we're only doing part one, and we already did part one. It's done. We don't need to do.
It was so exhausting. It was fucking exhausting.
I'd rather talk more about Trevor Bauer firing the ball over center field.
Oh God, what a great moment that was. AJCB Awards.
Where's Mandy?
Where's Mandy? Seriously. All that to be said, though, that's where I'm at with the Browns. I will say I feel good about this season. I really, though, I'm finally back to where I have been with the Browns. Wait and see. I do want to see some games. I want to see.
Yeah, let's say this. Let's say it doesn't work out like they want it to.
Hey, look.
I think that because of the temperament of this staff, from what we've seen so far, and we'll see how it plays out on the field. Even if it doesn't play out like we want it to, I want to see a redo. I want to see them do, roll it back, do it again.
Well, yeah.
I'm not in a rush to. Oh man, it felt inevitable at the end of last season. They had to do what they did.
Oh, buddy,
it was
after the
it was like, I mean, it was so painful. But
after the Broncos game, I was fucking done. I was done.
Yeah, that's
and you can relive the podcast moment. I mean, I was done after that game. With Kitchens and everything. All that to be said, though, the big thing about this year is very, very weird. It is where I think the season is it's always multi-layered, but it's really for this team.
Yeah.
If the Browns go 8-8, 9-7, but Mayfield struggles, it's not a good year. If Mayfield is good and they go 9-7, 8-8, it's actually a pretty good, very good year as you go to the playoffs too.
When we look at it in those individual situations where we're talking about our players developing that we need to develop,
that's right,
to come into their roles and take over on the field, maybe next year. Look, you're right. Baker does, that's a big storyline for the season.
It's much different. It is a much different story if we start going down these roads where it's like, well, they are winning, but boy, quarterback, or they're winning and Baker's progressing. It's just two different narratives.
Those are two very different ways of doing it.
And I'll be honest with you, I can see this is where I do think highly of this team. I can see the Browns going 8-8 and Baker struggling. I can. I'm telling you, I can see it. This team has the talent; they can gut it out.
Well,
they can gut it.
You're right, and that's all gonna come down to coaching with Baker and his patience in the pocket. Whether he can get the little bit of footwork stuff that they're working on situated, making sure that the line is shored up, which we fucking better be at this point. Those are the questions when it comes to Baker. Because let's be real, the season before his rookie, he was putting balls. I mean, it was just thread and needle. I mean, it was disgusting how his confidence when you've got a confident Baker, that's usually a good thing. Not a cocky Baker, but a confident Baker.
The games that really stood out to me where you just wonder what the hell was going on was the Jets game. He looked terrible that night. The home games against the Dolphins and the home game against the Bengals. They won all three of these games, and I'm telling you. The Cardinals game too. Cardinals game was a head scratcher. Those were all those games. That was the only loss. Those were the games where I just remember just saying, I'm like, whoa. Like the Broncos game, Patriots game, that was a team. They just it was just a muck. But to be honest with you, there were passes and plays, what Jared's alluding to, in those games. The Browns were lucky they didn't lose more games last year. I'll just leave it there. They really, really are. Kareem Hunt had some things to say also this week, and I thought he's been quiet. We've not really heard from him much.
Good.
Again, you can see his interview.
He's one of the guys that needs to be quiet right now. That's okay.
But by the way, very, very well said. But he finally spoke up, and I was interested to hear what he said. It's on clevelandbrowns.com. Here's some notes from it. Quote, "I'm glad I had this time, first time in 4 years, how to really treat my body in the offseason." He looked refreshed. I will say last year, you can always tell about people and stuff. He was really a mystery and whatever else. He looked good and everything else. You could tell he wasn't in the groove. The guy I saw on camera with Nate and Bo looked like a guy who was ready to roll. Really, really looked like a guy who was ready to roll. And
well, they didn't know how to use him last year. Let's be real about that. They didn't have a fucking clue how to use him, how to rotate him with Chubb, how to put both. I mean, even when they'd have both of them in the backfield and something great would happen, it only happened once because they never fucking did it again.
Look, he alluded to it. He is very excited about this year. And the one thing that I got from Hunt that I love, he is not cocky. He can't be getting into trouble either.
Right.
And Hunt knows that. These guys stand straight, and that's a big part of this. But the big thing that I like is you can tell he's excited and he's been really into how this next season is going to go for him with not just him, but Nick Chubb. And for the first time, folks, I'm telling you, I'm going to start bringing up this storyline. You have a real opportunity. Broncos game made me want to puke. Dan Monis on Facebook. Yes, me too.
Yeah, getting to that comment, throwing that in. Thanks for chiming in, Dan.
Yeah, Dan. You can re-listen to that podcast. I was so done, flushing down the toilet done. The one thing about this team, about this year coming up though, Jared, this team, we talk about passing in Mayfield, and that's fine. The other part of this team is running. This has the opportunity to be Biner and Mac 85. This is the chance to do something this special.
You ain't
And
kidding.
and I think you can do this on this team. And Stefanski's offense ran a lot last year in Minnesota. So all that to be said, I think the drum beat for Nick Chubb has been beaten a lot. I'm going to beat the Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb drum more and more and more and more and more.
And that's how you make Baker good.
That's right. And that will make Baker and the team good. Now, there's always questions here and there, but all that to be said, I thought that was a it was good to hear from Kareem Hunt. He looks good. You can tell he's got energy and all that stuff. Again, clevelandbrowns.com, you check that out. For people who didn't notice, Joe Thomas yesterday, this will be Wednesday, June 17th, for people listening on the podcast, he did an article on the Players Tribune, and I think this headline says it all. I don't know. Everybody should read this. Quote, "We cannot just be non-racist. We really do need to be anti-racist," end quote. And his big theme throughout this was he had a moment in his 2017, his final year, where a person on his team talked about some experiences he had went through as an African-American, and it really, really changed his perspective. I would suggest reading it. I would suggest really getting into it. And, we got to start pounding this drum too. Joe Thomas is the face of the last 21 years of this team. And it does not get talked about enough, and it needs to start getting talked about more and more. It did not equate to wins with those teams, but my God, is Joe Thomas a great man. And thank God the Browns drafted him. He's been a great ambassador for the city. Really good man.
I haven't been able to read the article yet. But the moment that I saw it, I knew, I was going to bookmark it. I show my wife. Of course, she's a Patriots fan, but she knows all about Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
And all I could tell my wife was he was an absolute blessing. He's an absolute blessing. He is. And I told her, I said, he is a guy that at some point I would love to do some work with.
I would love just to meet him.
I just want to, because he is everything. He embodies everything that you could love about Cleveland and Cleveland football.
Yep.
Hard work, dedication, care for your teammates, thoughtful commentary, knows how to joke around, family man, takes care of his friends, has a great podcast with him and Andrew Hawkins, man. Those guys are so good together.
Yes, they are.
All of it is just, look, Joe Thomas is as good a guy as you could ever have represent. He can represent the Cleveland Browns in front of almost anyone at this point, for me, at least. So I'm looking forward to reading that article. I'm probably not going to read it tonight because I'm probably going to pass out after this show.
Oh, right. Well, again,
but nonetheless, man, that's the right comment. Is
yes.
And the big part about what you just said there regarding listening to the experiences of another African-American player and friend and changing my perspective.
Yes.
That is all anyone is asking for.
And that's what kneeling's about. That's what all these things are about. It's about...
And getting mad about kneeling means you need to listen to the other perspective. Put
correct.
Someone else's shoes on.
That's correct. Great article. Read it. Love it. Joe Thomas for Browns president. Browns alumni.
Or for president, brother. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, seriously, go for the whole thing. Webster Slaughter, one of my favorite all-time touchdown dances. Man. And Josh Cribbs are going into the Legends program into the Browns. There's going to be a halftime ceremony in week 3 when they play the Redskins at First Energy Stadium. More details to be coming. That's great for both. Webster was fun guy, fast guy. And Cribbs was, again, another guy who really represented the Browns at the time when they weren't very good. No one will ever forget. It was a loss, but what he did in that Steelers game that year was unreal. Josh Cribbs stood on his head trying to win that game. He was unbelievable that year. He had many games like that, but Cribbs really was a wonderful Brown. So both of them are getting into the Legends program, and I think that's awesome stuff. The last thing on football, this guy has not been around a while, but I just want to get the latest because he was a big part of the Browns for a while. Josh Gordon is applying for reinstatement. There's a whole story about him again. He did have another lapse again last year. He's trying to reapply, trying to get his stuff together. He's got this new guy, Adam Kinner, who's his attorney. It sounds like he's going to be playing a role in Josh's world. The only thing I can say about this is, I know a lot of people are torn about Josh Gordon. I root for Josh Gordon. I hope he gets back on his feet. He has got a real struggle. We lived it as Browns fans, and Andy, I just hope for Josh Gordon's sake, no matter what he does on or off the field, I hope he's feeling better. I hope he's doing well, because I've never gotten the vibe Jared, that Josh has been feeling good about himself.
He is, which not feeling good about yourself is what leads you into some of those situations at times regarding substance abuse. Now, let me also say this. The rules of the NFL and Schedule 1 laws, regarding marijuana didn't help his cause. And to me, again, nuance matters. Josh was the lovable problem child. Josh was a guy that you can root for and that you were really heartbroken about when he fucked up. But in reality, Andy, his fuck ups were all, how do we describe this as there were no victims, right? In a lot in these things. These were self-inflicted. They were substance abuse. That is not somebody that you throw to the curb.
That's my point too.
And and on top of that, look, I know everybody's views on cannabis are different, but I think a lot of people are coming to the side where I stand on, and I think the laws and the rules and all that shit's got to change. I just do. I think that we spend all this money on things, law and order, war on drugs, a lot of money that could be spent on mental health, on social services, on building people up, on being preventative and proactive regarding all of these things. So again, political as it may be, Josh Gordon, I will always root for him, hope for the best, and understand that his circumstances are very nuanced. There's a lot of things going on with what has gotten him in trouble and whether or not he should have actually been in trouble for them to begin with, and not just helped and lifted up and reminded that he is cared about. There you go.
The last thing I'll go on, and then we'll get to baseball. So I just want to get that pause, because baseball is going to be very, very long. The big thing with Josh Gordon too, that people forget, and I won't mention their names, but they're Browns fans that I know and love. The Browns in the 80s really were some great teams. They had a few players on that team that had some struggles.
Oh boy. And
you can go and read the stories, and they turned out to be, and they're great people, and they've
one of them led one of them right down the road took a team to help make a team go to win two Super Bowls. And it was because the owner of the team took care of that person.
My point is, there's sometimes a lot of things that people don't talk about or know about. Kevin Mack's story is very public too, and Kevin's a great man, and he's doing fantastic. Yeah. You gotta remember, Josh Gordon's not alone either. There's been many people. There's probably players we don't even know go through this stuff, and Jared hit all the points. I root for Josh Gordon because I do think there's a place for him, and I really hope he does well. All that to be said, I wish him well, either on or off the field.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, if you're drinking tonight, take your shot. Let's talk about baseball negotiations. So, what a wild fucking week this has been. I'm actually going to lead off with this, and then we'll get to the latest today. And today is June 18th on a Thursday. I have actually come to this moment, and I noticed it today for the first time. There are, of course, two sides here. There's the MLBPA, there's the MLB owners. We all know that. Fine. Not new information. Here's the one thing that I have noticed now, and where I think has been stirring the pot, and we'll get to all these things. There are actually journalists, reporters, and everything else who have taken stands and sides. There are owners reporters. There is players reporters.
Isn't that shit weird? You're right. I didn't think about that until right now that you brought that up.
So fucking weird. And today, it's always been in my brain, but today I'm like, it's funny. The guys who wrote yesterday that they felt good about baseball are feeling bad about baseball today because the union put out their statement, and the other people yesterday were like, boy, baseball's got no chance of coming back, are feeling better today about baseball after the MLBPA put their statement out. There is a real Republican Democrat thing in baseball that is really split. And I'm just going to say this. It's a problem. That shit should not be happening. And it creates a lot of mistrust. It creates you got to have a side. You got to have a position. Hey, this whole thing, there's a lot of touch of grain in this stuff, okay? And I don't know if I even want to get into it. But all this to say, I think this is part of the problem. You have one person one day who's a very legitimate, love their opinions. I think baseball's screwed. The next day, we're great. Everything's in heaven. It's like, really? For 24 hours, you're now feeling bad, or the reverse? You can follow them. You can check them out. It is striking the 24 hours difference between how some people felt on Wednesday the 17th and on June 18th on a Thursday. Yep. It is drastically different. Yep. Shocking. All that to be said, here we are. They're still talking, I think.
And Andy, are there adults in the room?
There are, Jared.
Fucking act like it.
Jared, I have never in all my years have seen stuff where it's like, it's funny. Okay, look, here's the base. Let's look at the basic fucking.
It's like it's like the building is on fire. And some people are arguing whether they should go out the window or go out the door.
Oh, Jared, how about this? Let's even get simpler.
You know what I mean? Like, what the
fuck? How about this? I owe $5. He's saying you owe 15. Why don't we just say 10? We're really here with this, folks.
Right. I mean, we're nitpicking over 70 games
or 60 games.
Yeah, right.
Let's say 65. Let's go home.
Right. And how this all began was bitching about differences in $10 million per team.
There is a big story in baseball.
It's like they just want to win over each other. That's all they want to.
That's a big part of this story because the union felt, and by the way, the union's right. Baseball, we all know it, kicked ass revenue wise starting in 16. It kicked ass. It made a lot of money. And the players now know they should have gotten more money back. Okay, that's all fine, interested.
Cool.
But all that to be – and by the way, they're right. They need some of that money to come back.
Yeah.
They do. Now, here's where it gets negotiated tricky. It's COVID-19. The shit's on fire everywhere around the world.
So you negotiate that shit for 22, 23, 24.
Whatever you got to do. But I don't know if you can really take these stances. And at the same time, the owners, hey, look, let's all fucking call it the way we said. The 16 World Series is still talked about today. And those other World Series, too, were very, very popular. And baseball was going back up. The revenue showed it. The owners need to give some players money back, period. Yeah. In a sentence. We all know that. But this has been really a big linchpin because the end of 2021 is in the agreement. And that's what, honestly, Jared, at the end of the day, it's all about 2021. All that to be said, here's the fucking latest from today on Thursday the 18th. The baseball on Wednesday, when I say baseball, it's Manfred and Tony Clark. God, I rub my fucking eyes. It's so fucking exhausting, this story. So they met on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the owners put out their agreement, and then the MLBPA said, no, we never said we were agreeing to this, which I thought was
that Twitter post. I sent that to you as soon as I saw it, and I was like, what are you fucking doing?
What are you doing? And then today, now the owners
unnecessary was the point. It was unnecessary. Grow the fuck up.
It's almost like they have to do this in such baby steps where it's like Manfred and Tony Clark finally met, but that's all they did was meet. Here's what the fuck they talked about. Because it's clear that they're not on the same page. Here's the latest proposal from the MLBPA. 70-game regular season, the owners want 60. Full prorated. I will say it sounds like everybody's on board for that now, thank God. Yeah. Once they come to this agreement, the spring training will start on June 26th. Yes, today's the 18th. They're saying that they're going to start spring training on June 26th. That's a week away. It's insane. Expanded playoffs to 16 teams. That's good for the Indians, by the way. More teams, the merrier. I like that right now. Yeah, I think that's good for the Indians. Minimum pool, playoff shares, 50-50, and all this other stuff.
I think all of this plays into the Indians' hand. I'm sorry. I just do. I think at the end of the day, short season, Tito at the helm, these young guys ready to go. Let's go fucking run it up one time. Yes. Bam, done. Win it, bring it home. And you know what? Shove the asterisks up your ass.
Yeah, here's
period.
Here's the other big. All right, here's the other big thing. There's two big other things in baseball. In baseball sense, one's business and one's on the field. The business is, it sounds like both parties are ready to waive grievances, meaning there's no more courts. once this agreement's signed, there's nothing more until the end of 2021, which would be good. The other big thing that's baseball on the field, universal DH. And let me just say this to everybody out there. I love this rule.
Mhm.
I love it. And
So
let me just say this. Once the snake comes out of this can, it's not coming back in.
No, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
Need
because
to.
it's
And you know
over,
what?
but
And again,
it's time.
it should have been done 20 fucking years
It's
ago.
time. Jared and I have talked about this forever. So for all you National League fans, we love you. Just plug your ears. It's gonna be fucking good. Outside Madison,
stupid.
outside of Madison Bumgummer, no one wants to see these pitchers hit.
I don't want to see it. I don't ever want to see Clevenger pick up a bat ever.
No. And it's weird in World Series.
I don't want to see Carlos Carrasco.
No. Look, you know what? If you missed the DH, go on ESPN Classic. You can watch all that shit. What's going on? The pitcher's fun. Look, that's the baseball that's dead. It's old fogey stuff. It's time for new.
I don't have time for anything purist wise regarding Major League Baseball at this point.
No.
Nothing.
Hold
Everything's
your nose.
out the window.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be good for the game. I will say that everybody disagrees. It's good for the game. Okay.
It is.
So after all this stuff, Rob Manfred, quote, "This needs to be over. Until I speak with the owners, I can't give a firm deadline." This is today. Manfred basically pissed. And then John Heyman quoted later. So this
we all know that Manfred is he's not the guy that should be running it right now. He's just not. He's not the guy. He's not the man for the job. He's not the man for the job.
Manfred's having a really hard time.
He's not.
And by the way, you hate to say something like this, but it's true. It feels like at times these things are above his head, where it's just like he can't grasp the situation. It's like he goes in these rooms. Like he had a meeting with Tony Clark, and he actually told the owners, "Hey, we got an agreement." Holy fucking shit! So I even told Jared yesterday. I'm like, "Oh, Dick, that's not. He could not have told that the owners."
Once again, look. Leadership is hard, and you don't have to be all that bright to get into very lucrative positions in this world. Call that the what do we call that? We call that the just world fallacy.
Just
where you think that everyone works hard and gets to get there because of their own merit. And how many times do you look at people that are in positions of power and you go, "What the fuck?" Yeah, Manfred's one of them right now.
Manfred looks bad. This is bad.
Where's Nate Silver? Can he help this out?
Oh my God, wouldn't that be a godsend? That man fucking gets it.
Yeah.
He is the only owner I could ever remember.
He cares about people.
He cares. And how about this? The man on SportsCenter in a big primetime show on Monday night had such a good feeling with players that on his interview he brought on Damian Lillard, because you know why? Because he's got a relationship with the players. It's not different. And this is I'm ready to say this. The one argument I am tired of from people: Rob Manfred works for the owners. We fucking know that. Yes, we get that. That does not mean he can't get along with the players and be a good diplomat. Look at Adam Silver.
Does it not work in the owner's favor for that to be the situation?
Why? Yes.
Because here's the deal, Andy. Here's what we're looking at. No fucking season. And then nobody gets anything. And then nobody cares about baseball ever again. How about that?
And by the way, we're getting there.
This isn't rocket science.
It isn't. Again, 65 games. Just cut the fucking shit in the middle and go home. Go home. And by the way, if teams need loans or whatever else, A, why the fuck are you an owner? And B, we'll figure this shit out. The Royals got sold for over $1 billion, folks. Baseball's really lucrative. Don't buy into this shit. John Heyman, after the Manfred comments, quote, it's not a quote. This is reporting. John Heyman reported, MLB owners are so upset by the players' counter proposal, which is said to be about more than $300 million, that no response is expected to be immediate. Time is obviously getting short, so it's not too long.
Yeah, but they want that because they wanted the shorter season anyways, and for the payouts and everything too. But go ahead. So anyways, that's John Heyman. There is this whole thing too that is in the background, which I think is going to play into baseball, is this whole COVID-19 World Series thing. And to the credit of the players, they did say in there, hey, after the end of September, if you want to go to a neutral location to have these playoff games, we get it. We'll go. There's no fans anyways. So if you're going to go, if that's going to help out this and go to a bubble, we get it. So there has been a movement there. And I think that's really wise, where it's like, hey, we get it. If we can't do this stuff,
and we need to go to a different location to go to playoff games, we will. So that needs to be brought up more, because that is the big hurdle for everybody's got a hurdle. That's a big hurdle for baseball. You can get away with the summertime playing these games. We all know that. But according to every researcher out there and every person with knowledge, like a Fauci and everybody else, they're saying like, hey, a second wave's coming probably after September. And that's when the playoffs are going to start. So they're going to have to go neutral location.
Well, we got to be real about this too. We've never even left the first wave. So
that's true. Well, that's another story. But you're right. Absolutely correct. So all that to be said, there's a lot more back and forth here. I don't even know how much I want to get into this. This is exhausting. I will say it has been fascinating to read all this stuff. It is exhausting. It's tiring. Here's another one from Buster Only. I'll leave on this. Buster Only said, he reported on Twitter, there are many on the player side who think there should be greater owner concessions more than 60 games. That's what is talked about, what happened for full pay. And additionally, some of the other long-term concessions that can help players beyond this season. Some on player side is wondering, isn't there more than this? And that goes to what Jared's saying, what I'm saying. There's no Adam Silver vibe right now. And the players are feeling like they're left alone. And Manfred needs to hear these comments. And he needs to react appropriately. He does not need to give in to everything.
Well, and that goes back to that tweet from MLBPA saying there is no agreement with, that they sound like the petulant children in the room screaming, out of nowhere. But at the end of the day, really, you're not fucking listening to me.
Yeah.
You're not fucking listening to me. And Andy, I got to be honest, I'm still very disappointed that we haven't heard anything about some sort of revenue sharing, something that helps out some of these teams that might end up struggling at the end of all this.
Well, that's 2021.
Well,
that's at the end of 2021, that is going to be, and by the way, Jared's hitting on something. They're in baseball.
There still could be some assurances, right?
And by the way, that's what Buster's alluding to in that comment. And that's because the thing is, from the player's perspective, they hear salary cap, they see money lost, and they're right. So what you got to talk about is like, how do you get that revenue back up? And how do you make teams like the Pirates and other teams like that, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, feel more value? Because baseball is the one sport. There's a reason why it is the only sport. There's a reason why the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Cubs always do well. They have high revenue. They can afford these things. When the Indians were good in the mid-'90s, yes, they were very, very good, and they did some really well things. But we all remember, too, Dick Jacobs opened up his checkbook. He signed a Dennis Martinez or a Hershiser. Those weren't cheap players, folks. Eddie Murray. Those weren't cheap. Dave Winfield.
God, Eddie, man.
Those were not cheap players that came over in those mid-'90s teams. That's how you add those pieces.
Yeah.
So baseball's got a lot to figure out in that mindset. Again, football, basketball, there are times where you can see differences, but we all know at the end of the day, it's a salary cap, so everybody's at even Steven. Baseball is even Steven's not even. There are planets and galaxies, and you have to hit everything just right to sometimes get big with some of these. And that's why for the Kansas City Royals to win like they did in 15 is so special to those people in Kansas City, because they may not get back for 20 or 30 years. The Indians, in a way, for everybody who discounts what they do and they get upset, it's amazing they've won as much as they have, knowing that they're a middle of the road team when it comes to this salary cap thing.
How many years since 95 have they been in the playoffs?
Folks, outside of the Manny Acta years, remember him? It's really been very flat. Boy, Manny Acta was bad. What was that? That did not work out. Remember Oliver Perez got a shipment of weed to his house?
I forgot about that.
Oh,
Andy, baseball has an opportunity here that they need to. They've got their horse blinders on, and I
it's just.
I really hope that and
I love baseball.
They can still get there. They have an opportunity to reshape the game a little bit, to reshape the revenue a little bit down the road, to reshape relations between players and owners,
Absolutely.
to reshape the feeling and love of baseball with the American public in a way that they would never have this chance had this not be the situation they found themselves in right now. It's still there. It's still there. It's still there. Even through everything, it's still there.
They can. But we talk about the NFL. hey, the NFL still got weeks away. As they alluded to in these statements, they're trying to start on June 26th. Folks, today's June 18th. You don't even have double-digit days anymore. You're down to now 9 days in about 2 or 3 hours. Long road to go.
Well, yeah.
Major events.
Think about that's not a lot of time to book a flight, brother.
No. There's the major events that happened. Manfred speaking on SportsCenter really was the igniter. That was the tipping point when he basically said, I'm not confident we're not going to have an agreement. And then, as we alluded to, Tony Clark and Rob Manfred did get together in Arizona on Tuesday, and that's when kind of things got back to where we are today, which I'd call it somewhat normal. That was on the 16th. The big igniter, I would say, so the tipping point for me was on the 15th with Manfred. Yeah. The igniter was this. There was a story that came out about how Turner was going to pay almost $1 billion plus for the broadcast playoff rights starting in 2022. I remember when I read this story, I'm like, oh, fuck. If people don't think the players' eyebrows are going to be raised, and they were, folks, that was again, the owners, for all they said, and Jared's right, there's teams that probably are struggling to make ends meet. I don't think they're making. Wait, let me.
Not a lot, but there's gotta be.
They're not. I don't know if they're
not every smaller market team runs their budget as well as the Indians do.
No, they really.
As much as we bitch about that too, but still,
their books are clean. Their books are very clean.
I'm not worried about the tribe.
That I worry about the tribe. So all that to be said, that was the big kicker. Clark came out in the statement, and really Saturday was enough is enough from the players, and then really Monday was enough from Manfred, and now we're here. So all that to be said, when all that Manfred stuff went down, it was amazing. The outcry, Trevor Bauer on Monday, the 15th, Francisco Lindor with a great quote saying, hey, we're ready to play. The big theme was win and wear. That was the big thing, win and wear. That was a statement that came out from Tony Clark. All the players picked up on it. Jose Ramirez in Spanish. How do you say win and wear in English? I thought that was very funny. Adam Pluck.
I fucking love him.
I love Jose Ramirez.
I love him so much.
Real quickly, as I was going to say, everybody fucking check out Trevor Bauer and Jose Ramirez. It's on. The Indians retweeted it out. It's on Trevor's account.
Every time I want to not like or pay attention to Trevor anymore, he turns around and does some shit like this.
He does it again. It was very, very, very clever and really well done. I loved it. It was fun seeing Jose and him having fun in the middle of the desert in Arizona throwing pitches. Adam Pleco win and wear. Carlos Carrasco, tell us win and wear in all caps. Oscar Mercado, this is my favorite. He gave a shoulder shrug emoji. I guess just let us know with a shoulder shrug. That was one of my favorites. So that was some of the tribe. Some of the Oscar Mercado. That was funny.
It again, you know what though? Even in the midst of all of this, with the ability to joke like this and make those posts, those messages really do bring it back to the Sandlot, don't they? They really bring it back to just playing a pickup game, grabbing a bunch of people and going out onto the field and let's go hack. Let's go do it. Yes. And I love it.
Yes, and I think the bearing storyline here, which I do think the players need to be aware of, which I think they're starting to come, which I know they are. I know they're around, but they need to make sure it's in their view site, is this COVID-19 thing. Yeah. There was a story that came out right after Manfred, which was that you talk about another igniter. That was another igniter. That really pissed off the players. I don't blame them. That was Manfred gets on the ESPN Sports Center at 9:30. They're posting a story about how COVID-19 needs to be discussed for MLB. I mean, that's talk about timing. That was planted. Have you ever seen one before? Cubs first baseman Anthony Rizzo tweets in response, "Good timing" to this report, which I thought was very humorous from Mr. Rizzo. So all this to be said, baseball. Just
the news of people testing positive.
Look, baseball obviously has a plan and stuff. What they're alluding to here, which I do think is important, and I do think the owners here are right in a sense. Ending the season on end of September has a not just meaning for money, it has a meaning for safety and health.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to get to here.
Yeah, because you're rolling into the fall, you're rolling into, the season of the spread. Right.
And I think that's where players are starting to understand that more.
Yeah.
And I do think they're coming around. Again, the timing of this story was not good. It was planted. And the thing is, though, it's
Oh,
right.
absolutely. We both, when that article came out, we both were like,
Oh,
what is this doing right
I mean,
now?
Manfred literally gets off the sports centers.
But again, why does it seem so obvious to us? Because again, all they're trying to do is one up the other side. Like, stop it.
Again, it's Republicans and Democrats. It's everybody taking sides. Everybody has a view. It's
Well, I'm a libertarian, but anyways, go ahead.
It is
not
amazing.
A capital L, a lowercase L. We'll go.
It is amazing how baseball feels like a political climate. All that to be said, Fauci did follow up on Tuesday morning, say yes, I would really end this regular season by September, and then I would really think about a bubble after that for baseball, which would be smart. And again, the players heard that and are now implementing that, so that's good. There was an MLB African-American players putting out a video for Black Lives Matter. You can find that. That's worth your while. A great story was on Delino DeShields on Cleveland.com. Wonderful story. He talks about his experiences of being in the community and his experiences of going through life. And it's really Delino DeShields really, I really don't know a lot about him outside of his name. His dad was a great baseball player too. Wonderful, wonderful story. I would read it. It's worth your time. It is a great article. And I'll give you one little quote from it. Quote, this is from Delino. Black people with money, black people who are professional athletes, we are all the same outside of my uniform. I go out here on these streets. I'm basically treated like a black man. I just want to go to know people. I just want people to know that I'm more than a baseball player. This is real life stuff that happens to athletes, to professionals, to celebrities, no matter who you are. A lot of people, they see my color and they see a threat. You know, I've got the biggest smile on my face, and it just doesn't matter. To some people, that just doesn't resonate, end quote. He talked about some of his experiences in Houston as a minor league player. It was very eye-opening. Again, it was a wonderful article. Read it, Cleveland.com. Really, really good stuff.
Well, I mean, Andy, that just goes right back to, a story that I read today about a Providence, Rhode Island firefighter who was an African-American and was off duty and was harassed in a terrible, terrible way, to the point where the firefighters called out the cops. And I need to say this too, and I haven't done a good job of saying it to some of my friends who are police officers. Partly because I don't feel like now is the time for that conversation. This is not the conversation we're having, but I feel like it needs to be said. I don't want to beat up on cops. I don't want to talk bad about cops. I don't think that the profession of being a police officer is a terrible thing and then that you're an inherently terrible person. But you know what? I served for 12 years in the military, which I think I've beat that dead horse enough. And I don't have a problem with complaining about the systemic issues that happen within my organization of arms. I don't have a problem with complaining and bitching about the wrongs regarding the military in confronting sexual abuse and suicide and, officers getting treatment that should not be as favorable as it is compared to what enlisted folks get. I just want accountability is my point. Accountability is what I'm looking for. And I think that gets lost in the conversation sometimes, and I don't want it to go there. So I just wanted to get that out there, Andy, where I love so many folks that wear uniforms, that wear the blue uniform. I do. I care. That's just not the conversation we're having right now.
That's right.
It's not your time. This isn't what we're talking about.
That's right.
I get it. You've got the thin blue. I get it. But you know what? Pause that shit for a minute. Because I've got other friends who are hurting. And you know what, Andy? When you have a friend or when I have a friend who is hurting and I go and help that friend, do our other friends go, well, I need help too? Have you ever had that happen, Andy? Have you ever went to help a friend who was in need of help and then had other friends yell at you because they need help too? Have you ever had that happen?
Of course not, no.
No, you had those other friends who might also have issues going on come and help you help that friend. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. I try so goddamn hard not to go down this road when we do this show, Andy. I do. but it just means too much to me. It just does. So to Delino DeShields, to every other African American who shares their stories, to the firefighter in Providence, Rhode Island, we have to change something. That's all. We just want to fix it. That's all it is. Let's fix it. Let's do better. That's it.
Improvements, better life.
It's not one over the other. That's not what it is.
Again, it's not.
All lives matter. Out your ass. I'm sick of hearing it.
And by the way, it's not about who you vote for. It's not about all this stuff. It's about making the world a better place. That's all.
That's it.
That's it. That's all it's about.
I care. I'm passionate. I'm not hateful. I care.
Yes, I love you, by the way.
I love you.
I just want to say I love you.
Holy shit.
No, I love your
like that. I just couldn't not.
No, it's these articles. We just want to talk
much of it.
There is, but it's more in Cleveland. It's more in every society, obviously. But the DeShields article, obviously Joe Thomas, but the DeShields article needs to be brought up more. It was a really well done piece on DeShields, and it was really, really good. And it's worth your time. Really worth your time.
So please take your time.
Read it.
And if you're not going to read his story, read somebody else's or watch some video.
Yeah. I mean, Jared, it wouldn't have mattered what we all root for the Indians. But the thing is, after I read the article, I'm like, oh my God, I love Delino DeShields. I want to buy his jersey. I want to support him. I want to make sure he feels good. And that's the thing that is, that is what it means to be an empathetic human being living on this planet. Yeah, it's like you want to go up to him like, hey, man, I'm sorry for this shit. Just know we love you, and we're so proud of you to be a part of this city and a part of this team. And if there's anything you can do to make you feel comfortable, just let us know.
There is nothing more powerful than these personal stories, Andy.
It's great. It's really, really good stuff. Another one, too, that kind of came and went without much fanfare, but that was a really well-written article by Paul Hoynes on Cleveland.com on Sunday, was Antonetti and Theo Epstein. They got together to start texting, and they did a whole alliance with all the other GMs and front office people, again, going down this road of trying to support the big support there, Black Lives Matter and anti-racism, and they did a great job. The article is very good. Antonetti and Theo Epstein getting together and talking about stuff and leading a bigger charge. Again, like all these stories are out there. Again, those are ones that really caught to me. There's probably a million more I didn't see. On the baseball side, again, we'll wrap it back to on the field stuff. I do think there will be a deal to get done. I guess I can't say anymore. I'm surprised we're here because from where we left with Mandy Bell, it really hasn't. I mean, we're getting closer, but the tempo and the tone has really not changed. And
two steps forward, one step back. I think
it feels like the Republican Senate and the Republican and the Democratic House of Representatives trying to make a deal. I mean, that's what we got. I mean, honestly, it's what it feels like. It just feels like both parties are dug in and they're ready to just. They're going to get something done. I know they will, but it's like, gosh, the dramatics in this. And again, not to go too far down this road, this posturing of PR after, it's just politic type stuff in baseball. Political baseball. That's what I'll call it.
Well, they're either going to bury the game or there's going to be a change for good.
Yes.
We'll see.
Change of good. Let's talk about Kevin Love.
I do lean that way.
Yes.
I do. I don't know. I'm not going to be cynical about it. I think they're going to figure it out.
I think they are too. Here's the only thing I'm going to say though. Whenever this happens, won't be this year, but next year.
There's too much money involved.
Too much money. By the way,
let's not forget.
By the way, I will say this: if they don't play baseball, if the Pirates or whoever else out there, I'm not saying the Pirates are, but whoever else out there thinks they're not making money now, you want to see what happens after you do something like this and you forfeit your season? You may not get, folks. You're gonna have to. I think it's gonna be devastating. And I think they've already done damage to the game.
No fans in the stands for 2020, for 2021, for 2020. Get used to it for the foreseeable future.
My one comment that I'm going to reserve judgment for from here on out is I love seeing Progressive Field full and all that stuff, and I want that. After all the stuff in baseball, I will say I will pause about that because baseball it's hard to get fired up. If people got turned off by baseball, I get it this time.
One last comment. Dan Monis on Facebook says, I haven't heard anything about the Astros in months.
There's so many positive stories in baseball. The Astros, negotiations.
Don't worry, Dan.
They'll be back.
The Astros are going to get theirs soon enough. Don't worry. Don't you worry. You think those other teams care whether there are fans in the stands or not? Whether if they can bean a guy, they're going to bean. No, I'm not encouraging that. But
quickly on Kevin Love.
Yeah,
he is going to get an incredible. I used to work for the SB Awards. I worked there for 6 or 7 years. There is all these different things that happen. There is one award that is not just talked about in LA that night or talked about in the sports world. It's talked usually on more of a global entertainment level, and that's the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. That is the famous award that Jimmy V got that kicked the whole thing off back in the 90s. Kevin Love's getting that award this year. That is a big deal. That is a huge, huge deal, and he deserves it. He's being honored for his public work on mental health. Yeah. And, that is a big deal. And I'll leave it there. That is a huge.
It is
huge
another example of someone who otherwise wouldn't be in this position, yet they experienced something and they learned about something and they use their platform to then help promote that thing that they have experienced and learned about.
Well-deserved. Happy for Kevin Love. I'm excited to see him get that award. It's going to be obviously virtual, but I'll be excited for that. He also has been nominated for Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award as a finalist. Also on mental health. A great week for Kevin Love. He deserves all of it. I'm not going to try to trump what Jared said. All of it's true. We'll talk about this more as we lead up to the Arthur Ashe Award. This is great news. This is a big deal. Again, I'm going to reference this. There is more to sports right now than just play. This is why Kevin Love being a Cavalier is a good thing.
Yeah.
He's doing great things.
Yeah.
You want Kevin Loves in your community. Remember that. Remember that. People get all pissy about Kevin Love, and there's way too many of those people.
And I got to think that it even goes beyond that. I think we're going to see some of these younger guys follow his lead in a lot of these roles. We already see it. Larry Nance Jr. is one of them. Colin Sexton's another one.
Again, remember that.
Great guys. I think the Cavaliers have a core of guys that have heart, and I can appreciate that, despite the play on the court that we had seen, and the youth and the figuring out of coaching issues rather. I think the Cavs are going to be okay too. So
we will do a Cavs. We're going to do a couple of them, but we're going to do a celebration of the championship tomorrow night. That's on June 19th, of course, for people. It happened on June 19th of 2016, so 4-year anniversary. We'll live into that, and we're also going to go into what is going on for the Cavs. We're going to relive all that stuff. We're not going to do it tonight. The show's too long anyways, but we're going to talk more about what Jared's alluding to on the court. The other thing, real quickly, before going to the wrap-up stuff, the George Floyd funeral happened, and one of the big things I took away from it, well, on many things, it was very, very that thing was very emotional, obviously, and it really took you back. But the one thing that I thought was really nice was George Floyd's nephew, and he really spoke from the heart, and he got the most commentary. But the biggest thing, obviously, was him talking about George being a huge LeBron James fan. And the quote that I love is like, Floyd responded to his nephew, man, you know how I feel about LeBron. I did win a championship. And you could tell from Brandon Williams' name, Williams, just really empathetic, talk about how much George Floyd was a huge LeBron James and Cavs fan in 16. So that was a nice touch for people out there. I think sometimes we forget it's not just a Cleveland thing. It's more worldwide, more national than what we sometimes perceive, and kind of brought that home full circle there. And again, we'll do more on the Cavs tomorrow night, 19th, Friday. Be there. Wrapping up. There's a lot to wrap up. It's been a long show, but we have some more things to talk about. I'm going to jump the shark here. Bama Buckeyes. Look, I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I love Purdue. I'm not naive. Bama Buckeyes in 2027, 2028 is fucking huge. That is a huge win for the sport of college football. It starts in Columbus in 2027, then they go to Tuscaloosa in 28. That is must-see historical shit. It's awesome.
You're assuming Nick Saban's gonna be there?
Doesn't matter.
Are you sure?
Doesn't matter.
Are you sure?
It's Alabama.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am. It's a huge game. They may not be there either, by the way. Just saying.
Get the hell out of here.
Just saying.
Get the hell out of here. Get
7 years from now.
Ryan Day will be there until 2035
All right.
minimum.
All right.
Minimum.
All right.
Minimum.
We'll see. I love this game. It's a great announcement.
Yep,
and what's nice about it
is.
is, and I'm just going to be honest, it's nice that's not COVID-19 related. It's nice that's way down the road. And, that those games will be played normally. Okay. The bigger story on the now front is this Buckeye pledge that came out. I would suggest people read this story. This is a tricky story because it is basically being acknowledged that, hey, they're basically signing a liability clause saying, hey, if you get COVID-19, it's not the schools or the program's responsibility. There's going to be all different sides of this story. Again, it's probably somewhere in a touch of gray area. What is interesting about this waiver is for students, and there are probably some who are under the age of 18, they have to get a parent and them to sign it. So it's definitely some sort of legal waiver, even though they're calling it a Buckeye pledge. I'm assuming all of the universities are doing this, but this got big news in Columbus on Sunday. It was talked about worldwide. I bring it up because of this. I love college football. I love all Cleveland teams. My favorite sport's college football. I love college football. These are the kind of things, though, that are going to get talked about more because there's going to have to be things like this because there's liability at hands there for kids. They are not paid. These are not paid athletes. So the liability clauses for these athletes is going to be interesting to see. This is going to be a bigger topic because college football is happening. But this is going to be a story, and it's many layers to this. I'm telling you, there's many layers to this. I just want the students to be protected and these student athletes to feel like that they're safe. That's my biggest thing here.
It's going to be a real shit show if they're not, Andy.
It is going to be a shit show.
There are going to be universities where it does become a shit show.
Oh, buddy.
Point blank, period. Absolutely guaranteed. And that is because they're all playing by their own set of rules regarding all of this. Some take this more seriously than others. Some care about the students more than others. Some care more about the money than others. Some care about tradition more than others.
I was going to say that word tradition, yeah.
There's a lot that goes into this. And so we're going to see how that plays out. On the surface, without knowing the details, I don't like that at all.
Buckeye pledge does not come off well.
What a nice way to – oh, boy.
Again, you can change Buckeye pledge for Buckeye waiver because that's what this is. Again,
what are they promising not to drink on prom night? Get the fuck out of here with this Buckeye pledge.
Again.
Like,
all I'm gonna say.
I mean, come on, man.
All I'm gonna say is this. I hope the athletes feel safe and protected because that's number one. If they do, then sign the pledge and go forward. If you don't, though, I would not sign that thing.
I would say that some rogue coaches who care more about their student athletes than do some of the athletic director type people might encourage players to group up and team up and tell the university to go fuck themselves.
Yep.
That is also something that might happen.
Speaking of rogue coaches, it's been a bad week for Mike Gundy. Just quickly on that, I think he's done, and I think he needs to be done. I don't think this is – I think Mike Gundy at times, he's always had some quotes. He obviously has the whole mullet look thing. He is – Jared, it's pretty obvious he's got a lot more deeper issues that are going on. You can tell there's a lot of – now his players are protecting him, and you're seeing that, but I don't know, Jared. I don't know if Mike Gundy can survive this, man. And I don't even know if he should. I think he needs to go. I think it's time to go. I'm starting to go in the Paul Feinbaum world. It's like Mike Gundy needs to go. Time to go.
There's not room for this shit.
There's not room for this shit. That's right. Last thing. I don't ever talk about this. By the way, I have a Purdue Boilermaker basketball thing I'm going to finally talk about on these podcasts, but I won't do it tonight. The PGA is up and running, and I told Jared this over the weekend and some others. Like, I loved it. I actually do really enjoy golf. You do not miss the fans. It was great stuff. There's a great local player, too, from the Akron, Cleveland area who was in first place after the second round. So, that moving day on Saturday. There's a great article by Marlo Rittenauer on Akron, on Akron.com you can read, or high.com, I should say. But yeah, it was really, really sharp, really good article. You should read it. I love this thing. It goes back to my whole premise. Sports is up and running. Sports is up and running. As for people who can only listen to this, Jared had a lights out incident in his house It
just shook me.
There's nothing more weird in life when you're like, holy fuck, what the hell's going on?
Well, because it was my backlight and my wife turned it off.
No, it was funny.
I don't know. Yeah.
Visually,
she heard me and she turned it back on. I was nicely backlit.
Yeah, the PGA up and running, I think, is very good. And it felt like, again, I think that goes to my whole premise. Sports feels like it's not normal by any means, but it's running. Like, it's running on a lot more steam than I've seen since March. Since March. It's a lot more steam. Everything goes into it. And there you go.
Wow, one hell of a show. I started out the show without even saying the title of it, and stumbled over things, and we ended up really getting real throughout this entire thing. I feel good, Andy. Hey, shoot us an email if you want to bitch and complain about anything that I've said tonight, or Andy. Andy and Jarid at gmail.com. That's Andy and Jarid, Jarid, at gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at CLE and Beyond, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. And you can find the podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Go ahead and grab yourself a subscription to the show on iTunes and listen there if you like. Stitcher, however you want to do it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else last minute I wanted to announce or say anything about. I don't think there is. Andy, you got anything left?
MLB's closer, whatever that means. There's a lot of stuff out there to read. Tomorrow night, Friday, for people who are watching this live, for people who are listening, we'll have back-to-back podcasts celebrating the 4-year anniversary of the Cavs, going through the next steps from them. We'll do a bigger wrap-up show later on, but we're going to touch – it's going to be a Cavs-focused show celebrating the championship. And you know what? Maybe in some, Camelot level, we'll maybe talk about baseball returning. All that to be said. Maybe. All that to be said, love Delino DeShields Jr., love Joe Thomas, love the energy Jared Watson brought tonight. Love a lot of things that I'm reading about, and I gotta say again, like it has been a stressful fucking 2020. That's the Captain Obvious tipping the cap statement of the year. I know that, but all that to be said, again, I like, and it doesn't mean it's all going to work well, and there'll be COVID-19 breakouts. We all know that. It's nice to see sports trying to get back to normalcy, and it's good, and I think it helps. I think it's good.
This show's brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. He is Andy Billman. I am Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. Cleveland, this is for you. Take care, everybody.
Any chance you're watching the Hilton Head this weekend, PJ? I'm watching every fucking hole on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, and again, I'm playing again next week.
Oh, good.
3 weeks in a row, more than I played all last year.
You know, Take care, everybody. I hate to say this. I'm a shitty golfer. I'm terrible.
That's all right.
I will never be in any public link course.
I just go to drink beer during the day.
I love that.
Take care, everybody.